The Women's World Championship begins on Thursday the 3rd of April in Shanghai. Ju Wenjun, the current champion, plays Tan Zhongyi, the challenger. They're going to be 12 games, classical games, and the final game, game 12, is slated for the 20th of April. So they're going to be battling it out for the next 2.5 weeks. So 2 Chinese players, and this is a really close contest. You just need to look at their current ratings, their current live ratings, to see that it is very close indeed. So what I want to do in this video is just give you an overview. I'll let you know about the players and their strengths and their current form as well. Ju Wenjun is the champion, 34 years of age. She first won the title in 2018. In fact, she defeated Tan Zhongyi, who was the champion at that time. Her live rating is 2561, but she has been much higher, 2604. I mean, she's a very, very experienced player. I think of her as principally being a strategic player, and she has excellent technique. So I just want to show you a game where you can see this very well. So this was played in the Tata Steel tournament in January 2024. She's white against Alireza Firouzja, one of the strongest players in the world. She's a pawn up in this rook and pawn endgame. But how do you make progress? I mean, maybe you'd like to have a think and I'll have a drink. White to play, what would you do here? It's a very interesting position. Cheers. You can see that the rook is tied to defending this pawn. The king would like to get into the position, but this rook is beautifully placed, cutting the king. Okay, so what do? It's a tough one. Play g4? No. Because after the exchange, then king e7, rook takes pawn, that just simplifies, helps black get to a draw. Rook f4, you want to come in and take this pawn and then maybe get this one. Then king e7, no progress. Ju finds this move king f2, and this puts black in Zugzwang. So why? What's the issue? Why can't black wait? Well, you can't wait very well. King c6 can be met by rook e6, and you take this pawn, then this one is vulnerable. If the king goes back, then c6, and again rook e6 takes g6. Looks good for white. Okay, what else is there? What about moving the rook this way? Well, then the rook will step up and can come over to attack g6. That's no good. So Firouzja plays c6. He's waiting. Okay, how does white make progress? Not king here because the pawn can be taken. King g2. Again, Ju waits. And now black has to really compromise. Again, if the king goes back, then rook e6 is too strong. If the rook goes this way, again, rook e5 to rook g5. So rook d1. But now the king is able to go up the board. King f4, king g5 is a threat. So there was a check. And rook f7. So this is an attempt to keep the king out. The rook stays here. But rook f4, obviously the king and pawn endgame is a win. If rook e7, then king f3. The rook wants to come in. Rook check. Once the king is on the back rank, this is really bad. Then king comes into g5. So rook g7, but now the rook is really passive. King d3. Threat, king c4 and d5. This is how the game ended. Rook f8. King e4. Rook d8. The rook is about to come to this fantastic square. A check. And now the king marches over to the g-pawn. I mean, this is a triumph for white's strategy. Both pieces are really active. And now a nice bit of technique. Ju doesn't bother looking after these pawns. gives up 2 pawns on the king side, but she appreciates that these 2 pawns are just way ahead in the race, and that's an easy win. They just march down, and with a combination of mate threats against the king and promoting black is lost and Führungsschach resigned. Beautiful game. What about the challenger, Tan Zhongyi? Well, she's 33 years old. She's born in Chongqing. That's where the second half of the match will be played. Shanghai, the first half, where Ju Wenjun was born. So it's all very fair. So Tan is a very different kind of player. I think it's a really interesting clash of styles. Tan is more likely to attack, and well, we've seen some of her games from the candidates tournament last year, actually, when Svetlana Dimchenko was looking through these games. So you might remember this fantastic attack against Vaishali. So Tan was white, and the attack rolled up the board. G5. Okay, F5 closes things, but positionally pretty horrible. Now Rook G2. Second knight came over. And now, lovely winning move. Knight F6. Mate threatened. And after G takes, Knight G6. And that was the end of the game. If King G7, Knight takes, and then G takes F6. Double discovered check, and black's position just collapses completely. Lovely finish. And remember this one, the game against Anna Muzichuk. So this is a tremendous attack. And Tan finished with this. Rook takes, Knight G8. So if Knight takes, then Knight takes F6 check. There's a nice fork. And after Queen G8, Queen F7. That's a lovely winning move. Because after the queens are exchanged, then that pawn is rolling through. Wonderful stuff. That was a fantastic attacking game. If you want to see both those games in full, then, well, I'll put the links in the comments. As I said, you can see full game of, well, Svetlana did videos on those previously. So Tan is, I think, more inclined to attack than Ju Wenjun. They've played previously, actually. Well, the Women's World Championship match in 2018, which Ju won, was very interesting indeed. There was a period in the middle of it where there were 5 decisive games in a row. But by the end, I think Ju Wenjun, well, I think she definitely had the better of Tan. But I think this game, this is game 3. I just want to show you this very quickly. So, Women's World Championship match 2018, also held in Chongqing and Shanghai. And I think this shows the styles very well. So Ju Wenjun playing a Catalan with white. But Tan doesn't play one of the kind of solid lines with black. She grabs this pawn on c4 and wants to hang on to it. So that's risky, because white gets very nice initiative now. And I mean, this is quite a well-known line. Queen c2, this is the kind of theoretically approved way of playing this. And in fact, the players had played in this way previously in 2013. So the bishop on c8 comes out. That's often the problem piece. And Ju moves the queen to the middle and transfers to the king side. So classic play, if you want to attack, you want to get your queen in. And here is where Tan plays an extraordinary move. Now, you know, cooler heads might have just played g6 in this position. And, well, white, you can say, has decent compensation for the 2 pawns in this position. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one for black to defend, but, you know, you've got to try and sort of tough it out. But Tan played g5. I mean, that's an extraordinary move. Well, if you could sort of follow up with h5 maybe, then fair enough. But actually, Ju just picked this off. Nice move, queen h5. And after this, I mean, basically Black's king is doomed. I think it's really interesting. You know, Ju is quite an even player in terms of quality. It's my impression. Whereas Tan has sort of moments of inspiration, but then, you know, games like this where basically she collapsed. I mean, this attack is absolutely vicious. Dare I say it, split rooks. You know, this rook on h8 just, I'm afraid, isn't very effective. And you can see that White's pieces are fantastic here. Very simple. The queen and rook are just too strong. And there was a very nice finish from Ju here. Queen d4 check. And that's where the game ended. Tan resigned, because if king takes, then queen d6 is mate. That's very picturesque, very nice stuff. Okay, but that was played in 2018. What about their current form? Well, 2024 was a fantastic year for the challenger, Tan Zhongyi. She won the candidates tournament by a point and a half. Then she went on to win the Cairns Cup. In fact, I showed one of the games from that against Anna Zatonsky. Another beautiful attacking game. Her rating has really shot up in the past year. What about Ju Wenjun? Well, yeah, tough start to the year. 4.5 out of 13, the Tata Steel A, but a very difficult tournament. She scored 3.5 out of 7 in the Siegerman tournament in Sweden, defeating Kaimer and Korobov. I mean, that was a really tough tournament, and 50% is a good result. She won Norway Chess for Women tournament. She had a tough time at the London Chess Classic, scoring -1, but again, very tough opposition. She won the Women's World Blitz Championship in December 2024. So that was a pretty good result. So you could say that both players are currently on form and rated, you know, about the same. They actually played in December in the World Rapid Championship. And again, this showed, I think, slightly, you know, their styles quite well. So Tan is white, and she is playing with the IQP, has, well, a nice bishop here. Now, I think in this position you have to sort of hold your nerve here. Maybe bishop e4 looks quite nice. You can go h4, potentially with the idea of h5. But she went knight h4. So she's really, you know, lunging in. And it's incredibly dangerous. But it did allow knight takes pawn. Maybe she just thought this must be good. It's a rapid play game. But it shows her inclination to, you know, go straight for the attack. But, you know, knight takes, I guess, bishop f5 is coming. So she played bishop c4. I mean, this is still very tricky. And Ju gives up the exchange, which was taken. But in fact, if Tan was a bit cooler and just came here, then White has pressure here. You can get the pawn back. Should be better for White. But instead, she grabbed the exchange. And watch what happened now. Bishop c6. The queen was driven to a poor square. Queen d5. Now, with the bishop on c4, of course, that was not possible. But now, I'm afraid, this has turned against Tan. Ju Wenjun threatens mate. And, well, she finished with a very nice attack here. Let's just go to the end. White's king is in trouble. This one is coming in here. I mean, both sides, you know, could have played a bit better defensively for White. There were even stronger attacking ideas, but basically Ju Wenjun is in control here. And that was the end of the game. Yeah, well, white resigned here because of this, then here, and that's mate. There we go. So current form, very even, although, you know, Ju Wenjun with that victory in December, well, you know, good for the ego to win a game like that. So I think this is going to be a very, very interesting match. Both players on form, very different styles, and yeah, I mean, really anything could happen. Tan Zhongyi has been there and done that. She won the Women's World Championship when it was a knockout tournament in 2017. Ju Wenjun, fantastically experienced. So it's going to be very interesting. I won't be covering all the games, but I'll check in now and again just to keep you updated as to what's going on in the match. So it's going to be a very interesting 2.5 weeks coming up.